Okay, so as of today, you should have already done the rates and unit rates proportion notes along with the practice and the check for understanding. Now we're going to move on to the Objective 2, okay, and in Objective 2, you're going to solve problems involving rates, including those involving unit prices and constant speed. So in this case, we're going to do what they call the best buy. All the best buy is different ways to compare prices and products. And that's what we're going to do today. So we are going to start with this up here, which is your best buy. Which one is your best buy? So let me give you a couple notes before we start. So some things I'd like you to do if you flip your page over is that there's steps, okay? And the first steps that you're going to want to do is, one, you're going to write it as a ratio. Write as ratio, which is just a fraction, okay? Don't get scared by the word. You should know that word by now. For example, if we're dealing with money and a product or something like that, it would be money over whatever you're buying, whatever it is. I'll just put product. Money over product, okay? Or if you're doing speed, it would be miles over hours, okay? So there's two examples like that. Now, step 2 would be you would divide the fraction, which is just TIBO, guys. Top in, bottom out. And then last, label. Okay? So, we're going to follow those instructions and we're going to do each one together, okay? And then you'll have some to do by yourself with practice. So, let's flip it back over. Now, our first thing was to write it as a fraction. So, on the first one, so if you look, this one's already done. So, we're going to go ahead and go down to the next one, okay? So, it says, question number 2, there's 22 staplers for $330 and 4 staplers for $80. So, the first one is our money over our stapler. So, we're going to write it as a fraction. Okay. And then 80 over 4. And now we're going to figure out which one's the best buy. Which one is cheaper? You remember, when you're paying for something, you want to pay less if at all possible, because trust me when I tell you, it's better to pay less than it is to pay more for the same product. So, TIBO, top in, bottom out. Okay? So, if you look, you're going to have 22 goes into 33 one time. And that's 11. Bring down your 0. How many times does 22 go into 110? Let's figure that out. It's going to be 5, which is 110. So this would equal, it is $15 for every one stapler. So it would be 15 over 1. Now, you can do top in, bottom out, or you can do a proportion. Either way is fine, guys. So I'm going to do this one as a proportion so you can see it both ways. But you're really just doing the same thing. So we're talking about money over staplers. We know that there is $80 for every 4 staplers. We want to know how many, or we want to know how much each one is. We know it would be 1, and that would be X, correct? Cross multiply, that's 80 equals 4x divided by 4, which is the same thing, guys. That's all you're doing. It's all the same thing. So, 40 goes into 80. 4 goes into 8. How many times? 2. And then 2 times 4 is 8. And then 0. So how many times? It's 20. So 20 over 1. Okay. So here it says for one stapler it's $15. And here it's for one stapler it's $20. So which one would be the best buy? Of course, unit rate 1. So we'll do number 1. Okay. Now, like I said, I prefer to do just the top in, bottom out, but you can do it how you want. If you prefer to do it with a proportion, by all means, please do that. But in this case, from here on out, I'm just going to do top in, bottom out. So I'm going to set it up as a fraction and then divide. Okay? So this one would be 105, because that's our money, over, we're talking about calculators this time, so over 5. And then this would be 552 over 24. Top in, bottom out. 5 goes into 10 2 times, which makes 0. Bring our 5 down. 5 goes into 5 1 time. So this one would be $21 for one calculator. Okay, because remember, it's 21 over 1. All right. Here, do the same thing. Top in, bottom out. Okay. 24 times 2 is 48. And we're going to subtract. We have to borrow. It's going to give us 7. Bring down our 2. Now 24 into 72 is 3. Because 3 times 24 is 72. So that gives us $23 for one calculator. Again, what's our best buy? Number 1. Okay. So I want you to try number 4 by yourself. Take a few minutes. You can pause the video. Try it on your own, and I'm going to come when you come back, just your answers will be written on here. Okay, there you go. Now let's move on to the next one. So now this time, when you're dealing with speed or rate or anything like that, again, it's the best buy. So you're going to divide, or it's the best option. So you're going to divide and you're going to do TIVO, but it's always good to set up a proportion for constant rate and speed because you want to be more organized when dealing with stuff like this. So let me read it first and then I'll set it up for you. So you automatically can use the big H, okay, because you know that's what we're going to do. So if you want to do that for each one, you can. Okay. And here it says a minibus drives 110 miles in 2 hours and 45 minutes. What is its average speed in miles per hour? Okay, so per hour. We know per means 1, right, and multiply. So let's talk about it. We have miles and we have hours. So miles and hours. Okay. We know it's 110 miles for 2 hours and 45 minutes. Now guys, when you write this, it's going to be 2.45 because there's 45 minutes and 2 hours, okay? And then it wants to know the average speed of miles. So we're looking for miles, so that's going to be X. And then here it says for 1 hour, so per hour, so that'd be 1. Now, we cross multiply, which gives us 110 equals, and this is going to be cross multiply, which is 2.5x. Okay, and we're going to divide on both sides. Okay, and x, guys, is just your question mark. It's the unknown. We don't know what it is, okay, and that's what we're trying to find out. So divide by 2.5, divide by 2.45, and let's do that. Top in, bottom out. You know we can't have a decimal here, so we have to move it over, which is going to give us 245. But if we do it here, we have to do it here. So now we're going to have 110. We're going to move it twice, like that. Okay, so you can immediately go ahead and move your decimal up. Now, 245 doesn't go into 110, but 245, I'm sure, would go into 1100. Now, how many that is, let's figure it out. 245 times 3 is 735. 245 times 4 is 980. Well, that's probably going to be your best because if you add another 245, that's not going to be enough. It's going to be too much. So here would be a 4, and 245 times 4 is 980. Now, take and borrow again, and borrow again. That's going to give me, and actually we don't need to borrow again, I'm sorry. It's going to be right there. So this is 0, and this is 1. I'm sorry, 2, because 10 minus 8 is 2. 10 minus 1 is 1. And then again, bring that down. So now we have 245 into 1200. Well, we know 245 times 4 is 980. So 245 times 5 is 1225. So it looks like it's going to be 4 again. Okay, so we bring down our 4. Oh, I'm sorry, that's going to be here, guys. I made that mistake on my own. I'm very sorry about that. You're going to move your little decimal. When I moved it, I should have moved it twice, and I didn't move it. I kept it there. So it actually 44 point. Okay, and then again, this would be 980. 1200 minus 980 is 220. And then you would bring your 0 down, and it would continue going. But we just want an average. An average means approximately, okay? So when we have 44 point something, we can assume that it's going to for sure be 44 miles, okay? So if it says approximately or average, it's going to be an average of 44 miles. So that would be our answer for the first one. So 44 miles. I hope I didn't confuse anybody too much. But when it says average or approximately, they want the average of this. When you keep going, if it's higher than 5, it would go up to 45. If it's less than 5, it would stay at 44. It's just doing your rounding skills, guys. Okay? So now, let's talk about 1/4, because we want to put this in decimal form, okay? And how we're going to do that is you can just change it from a mixed fraction to an improper fraction, then divide by doing TIBO, which will give you your decimal. Or you can understand that 1/4 is just how much is in a dollar. If you do 1 divided by 4, well, that's 25, because there's 4 quarters in a dollar. So this would be 3.25. Again, we're talking about miles and hours, so we can do M and H. We have 1,755 miles and 3.25 hours. And it says again, average speed per hour, so we know this is going to be a 1, and X. Cross multiply, we have 1755. Cross multiply this way, which equals 3.25x. Again, we're going to divide. Okay, and I'm going to come down here and do the work so you can see it. So we're going to have 3.25 and 1755. Remember, we got to move our decimal. We're going to start here. Sorry about that last time. And that's going to give me 0, 0, and bring up our decimal. So now we have 325. We know 325 doesn't go into 1, doesn't go into 17, won't go into 175, but I bet it would go into 1755. So let's figure out how many times that would go. So, sorry guys, 1755 times, well, let's do 325 times 4. Well, that's 1,300. We need more than that. So 325 times 5 is 1625. So it's probably going to be that, but yeah, because if you go to 6, it's 1900. So we're going to go here and we're going to put 5, because 325 times 5 is 1625. Okay, and this is going to subtract, which gives us 0. 5 minus 2 is 3. 7 minus 6 is 1, and a 0. We're going to bring down another 0. Okay, well, we know that 325 times 5 is 1625. So what about 325 times 3? Well, that's 975. And 325 times 4, well, that's 1,300. So 4, and that's 1,300, which gives us 0. So our average miles per hour would be 54 miles. Now, when you saw the step 3 as being a label, this is what you're labeling. It wants to know how many of something per 1. So this is 54 miles per hour. So for every hour, it goes 54 miles. Okay? Here, for every hour, it goes 44 miles. It's our unit rate, guys. That's our goal with Best Buy, is getting to our unit rate. How much does each one cost? Or how much is each one? Okay? Now I want you to pause the video, and I want you to try this one by yourself. See if you get it correctly. Guys, just getting the answer for me is not going to help you, so try it out. Take a few minutes, give it a shot, turn me back on, and I'll have the answer on here for you. Okay, when you did it, you should have set it up as page over hours, 375, 3x and 1, giving you 375, and 3x, divide by 3, divide by 3. So you should have gotten 125 pages. Correct? Check your work. Make sure it's correct. Cross multiply, divide, and then you should have gotten this. Let me know if that's correct. Alright, now you should move on to practicing. I believe if you go to the next slide, it should tell you that it's practicing for IXL. And then move on to check for understanding. If you have any questions, please get with your teacher. Have a good day.